Good afternoon. Welcome to our program, Sa Mata sa Kababayen-an, or In the Eyes of Women. We will again be together for 1 hour. I invite all of you, our viewers, to please watch this important episode of this program because we have a very important guest who will discuss about their foundation. So you will know what their foundations is all about, what are their programs, what are their activities, so you can avail of it. So please continue watching our program until the end because you will be learning so much from our guest. We are so honored actually to have our guest this afternoon because they are also busy, but despite the busy schedule, she accepted our invitation to be our guest in today's program. I will introduce to you our beautiful guest and a very important one, Dr. Laura Cordisco Chai. She is the founder and executive director of Ellison Foundation. Good afternoon, Doc Laura. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me, Attorney Virgie. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, we are so glad to meet you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll start. Can you please tell us about yourself so our viewers will know who is this beautiful guest of ours?
And beautiful hostess. Well, thank you again so much for having me. It's really my pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm Laura Cordisco Tsai. As you mentioned, I'm the executive director and founder of Ellison Foundation. I'm a social worker by training, social work practitioner, and also researcher. And I've been working with survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence for around 20 years.
Wow.
Most of my work with survivors of human trafficking has been in Southeast Asia. I used to live in Thailand before, and I lived in Cambodia. And our organization has an office here in Cebu. And in my undergrad, I studied teaching and human development, and then I went on to study social work in my master's and also PhD because I'm a researcher as well. And I'm very interested in doing research on gender-based violence. So I also got postgraduate training and researching gender-based violence in London, and then also trauma recovery at Harvard Medical School. And I have an appointment at the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy at Harvard, and that's where I do some of my research with survivors of human trafficking in addition to my work at Ellison Foundation.
But you know that you're also into yoga?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Why?
I'm actually a yoga teacher as well.
Oh, so you have to teach us yoga.
Sure, we can have a session here.
I will teach our staff here yoga.
Anytime anyone wants
Why
to
did
do
you also take yoga? As part of
stress management.
Yeah, okay.
And self-care. So as a social worker for 20 years, we all have to take care of ourselves. And that's one of the ways that I find it helpful to take care of myself.
Because as a social worker, we are dealing with problems which are not ours.
Yes.
Dealing with problems of other people.
Yes.
Not so easy. Why did you focus on this being a social worker? What urged you to have this?
Well, thank you for asking. Actually, I was raised by a single mother, and she was also a social worker.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was a young child, my mother worked around 2 to 3 different social work jobs at a time. She was a clinical director at a rape response program and a crisis center. And she was also a therapist.
Wow.
And she was a trainer in rape response and suicide prevention. And so as a young child, I was always at the center with her. I actually started working there when I was a child. So I think it's just, in my life experience. And I really have so much admiration for all of the work done for the community. She's my role model.
Yeah,
and she has really inspired me to continue this work.
It's not so easy a job. My goodness. So at least you have seen what your mother had been doing, and it encouraged you also to do it, no?
Yes.
It was a good model, a good example for you.
Yes, the best role model one could imagine. She's very inspiring.
And she's still here?
She's still here. She's still working. She's still continuing her career.
But since you here in Cebu City,
No, unfortunately, no. So she's back in the United States right now, where I live full time. But she continues to travel around the world and do trainings and work with
Wow,
clients.
so busy.
Very busy. I think she will never retire.
Like me. Okay. What is the name of your foundation, Doc Laura?
It is a Liaison Foundation.
Can you please explain to our viewers what this foundation is all about?
Sure, absolutely. So, a liaison is actually a Greek word. It means to have mercy or to have compassion. And we're a private operating foundation. What that means is we can, as a foundation, give grants to other organizations, but we're an operating foundation, which means that we can also run our own programs and services. And we were registered in 2008. We have our main office in the United States, and then we also have a representative office in Cebu in the Philippines as well. And we serve survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence, and we support them in their recovery and with any assistance that they may need. So when I'm referring to survivors of human trafficking, that includes people who have been trafficked for sexual exploitation, also labor trafficking, as well as online sexual exploitation of children as well. And with people who've experienced gender-based violence, that often includes people who experience intimate partner violence, as well as other forms of sexual violence and violence in the community. And we have a couple guiding principles at a Liaison Foundation that guides us in our work. So one of those is that we're evidence-based. And what that means is that we integrate a lot of research in our work, and we do interventions that are evidence-based or that have been backed by research already. And so we know that these are programs that are effective, and we're always using research to help strengthen our programs. We're also a survivor-centered organization. And so for us, that means that we're an organization that really prioritizes survivors' own priorities and goals, their wishes and needs, that their voices are really at the center of everything that we do, and that survivors are also leaders in our organization as well. And we're also trauma-informed, and so in everything that we do, we recognize that the people involved in our programs have experienced a lot of trauma, and we want to make sure that we're a safe place, physically and emotionally, that survivors can have the autonomy to make their own choices, that they feel safe with us, and that they feel like we're really partnering with them and supporting them. And at a Liaison, we provide community-based services. So a lot of anti-trafficking organizations run their programs inside shelters, which is important. But we feel that community-based care is also really necessary. And sometimes when someone is in a shelter and then they leave, it can be a really difficult transition. And so to have that community support over the long term can be really helpful. And so that's something that we're very committed to, being a community-based organization. And we also, we're trying to improve the quality of programs for survivors, and because we believe that survivors really have the right to receive really good quality care.
What is the meaning of a liaison?
A liaison is a Greek word, and it means to have mercy or to have compassion.
To have mercy and to have compassion.
Yes.
That is really a good foundation. Who is your funder? No other funders except your family?
So it is a family foundation, so we as a family give some of the funding for the organization, and then we also receive grants as well. So we receive research grants and other program grants, and then we have other individuals who make private donations to our organization as well to help us support the work.
Your main office is in the U.S.
Yes, correct.
Why did you expand it here in other countries? What made you decide on that?
Well, I have been working in Southeast Asia for over 20 over 20 years now, since 2001.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
since 2001. And I was living in Thailand before. I was living in Cambodia, working at anti-trafficking organizations because there's a lot of human trafficking in Thailand and Cambodia. And I was actually invited to come to Cebu as a consultant back in 2008. And at the time, I thought I would just be doing a consultancy for 1 year. And here I am 14 years later. We're still working here. But it's because we really felt that we saw a need for additional
foundation is needed
services.
in our country.
Really needed for services, and we felt like we built good trust and partnerships in the community and people of goodwill who wanted to do the work together. And so we want to be able to support and make sure survivors have access to more support.
Okay. Look, Laura, we will have few minutes for advertisement. Okay, we'll go back to our program, In the Eyes of Women. Look, Laura, your foundation have many programs.
Yes.
Can you please share it with us so that our viewers will know what are the programs of your foundation?
Sure, I would be happy to share. So we have services in 4 main categories, and I can say what those are and then describe each of them one by
please,
one. So the first is direct services for survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence. The second category is research.
Research.
The third category is capacity building or training for other organizations. And then the fourth is grant making or giving grants to other organizations. So I can talk about each of those one by one. So for our direct services to survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence, we have 4 main kinds of services. The first is economic empowerment programs.
Oh, that's good.
Because as we know, many survivors face a lot of financial difficulties that make them vulnerable to experiencing more violence and abuse. So we have 2 savings and financial literacy programs for survivors and their family members. They're called Pansay and Baruk.
Yeah, that's the term.
And Pansay is a very short financial literacy training program talking about savings, debt management, how to speak with family members about money, and kind of make sure that you're able to take care of your own needs as well. And then our Baruk program is a 2-year matched savings program that also includes financial literacy training. So in addition to the training, participants can save money with us, and we will match their savings 1-to-1. So what that means is if they save 100 pesos, we match 100 pesos.
Wow, that's good.
Yes.
It's an encouragement.
It's an
for them to
encouragement.
save.
Yes, exactly. And the match savings can be used for medical care, for mental health care, for education, for emergencies, for employment, other matters like that. And so it's a 2-year program, and so survivors have the chance to earn those matched money for a year and then use it on an additional year for their needs. So those are our 2 economic empowerment programs. We also have community mental health services to help survivors in their recovery from their trauma and make sure that they have emotional support. So in our community mental health, one of our main programs is called Healing and Resilience After Trauma, or HEART for short. So the HEART program is a group mental health intervention that lasts for 3 months, and it involves weekly group support sessions involving mindfulness and some mind-body practices, taking care of one's body, and then also supportive group discussions with other survivors. And there are themes like radical self-love and feeling safe in the body and having healthy relationships to support survivors in their recovery. So that's one of our community mental health programs. We also do some community mental health education with survivors and family members and other community members. And then if there are people who are interested in receiving counseling, we don't provide counseling at a liaison, but we can help facilitate referrals, and we actually pay for counseling for our clients and can provide case management support as they're availing of other mental health services in the community, as well as financial support as well. And then the third kind of program for survivors is crisis intervention.
Yeah, that's another thing important.
Yeah, so we have a lot of individuals in our programs are experiencing ongoing violence, maybe violence from their partner, or violence in their family, household, or even from their employer or in the community. And so we provide crisis intervention support to help survivors who are experiencing violence. And also if anyone is having like a mental health crisis. So in particular, we do a lot of suicide prevention work.
Yeah, that's...
Because in our experience, many survivors struggle with suicidal thoughts and behaviors.
Yeah.
And so we can give interventions to help them help to prevent suicide with the population. And then the fourth kind of program for direct services is what we call our Survivor Leadership Council. And that is like a client advisory board. So these are survivors who have graduated successfully from our programs.
They're leaders.
And they're leaders, right? They're leaders in the organization, they're leaders in the community. They help us to figure out how we can make our programs better, how we can make them more survivor-centered. And they're also role models to their peers and help facilitate other programs with our staff at the foundation. So those are our direct services for survivors, but then we also have capacity building, research, and grant making. So I can also share about those as well. Yes. So for our research, one of the things I mentioned earlier is we like to be evidence-based. So we do a lot of research to figure out what's working and not working in our programs, and also how we can make them better, because we really want to provide high-quality services. So we do program evaluations of our own programs and support other organizations in doing evaluations. And then we also do something called community-based participatory research, where survivors are also doing research with us. They're collecting the data and analyzing the data and presenting the findings in the community.
Evaluators.
They're very good evaluators because their feedback really matters. Yeah.
They experience it. No?
Yeah.
But you don't handle legal assistance.
We do not do legal.
Yours is more on the recovery of the victims.
Yes. Yes.
It's very good.
Yes.
But is it not too expensive, this a program of yours?
You know, we're actually pretty low budget, but we don't have a very big team. So we're a small grassroots organization. We're very committed to survivors, but we also want to do it in a sustainable way. We're not like a very large organization. Like, we're able to provide high quality services, but I think at a reasonable cost.
So in Cebu, what are the places that you have this jurisdiction where you can have your programs?
Like Cebu City, Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, Cordova, Minglanilla, Talisay.
But not all in the province.
Not all in the province. Correct.
But you say that I thought you have a psychometrician or psychologist. You don't have any. You will just refer it to a psychologist and pay if your client will need psychological evaluation.
We have psychometricians on our team. We do. Yeah. And we have psychologists who are on our advisory council as well, and social workers.
So they will also handle. So you have also this group session wherein they will be sharing. Part of it will be sharing their problems with their victims.
We have our Healing and Resilience After Trauma program, which is a group mental health program. And as a part of that, there is a group discussion portion. And in that group discussion, they're able to share their
Yeah.
experiences with their peers and also receive support from other survivors as well as, of course, our staff.
Because in doing, we also have that group session wherein they will be sharing, and then they will feel, it's not only me who have this problem.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes them strong also, no? And brave to stand
Yes.
about their rights. But just talk about gender-based victims.
Yes.
So, victims of violence by their husband, you will also accommodate
Yes,
them?
yes, absolutely. Many of our clients have experienced violence from their husband or from another partner, and we absolutely serve that population as
But
well.
more on the recovery of the victims.
Yes, yes.
Because Law Inc. can handle psychosocial services, or that's counseling, and then legal. But yours is more on the psychosocial.
Yes, the economic and the psychosocial.
So you have also the economic. In what way that economic program?
So we have our Bansay and our Barug programs, which are the savings and
the
financial
savings.
literacy programs. And then we also have the psychosocial support through our community mental health services as well. So it's really about making sure survivors have a safe place where they can share their challenges and concerns. They can receive psychosocial and emotional support. And also, we can help them to stabilize and be in a safe place in the community.
But you don't have any center for these victims?
No, we do not run any centers or shelter programs because I've been working in the anti-trafficking world for a long time, and I feel that shelters are very, very important.
Yes.
But at the same time, sometimes what I think happens is that once someone leaves the shelter, then what happens to the support, right? Like there's may not always be enough support long-term in the community, and people may experience more violence, more exploitation.
Back to the same situation.
And be in a really difficult situation like they were in before. And so we really made a decision to provide community-based care rather than operate a center because we want there to be a place where survivors can come. Even if they've left the center, there's still a place where they can get support, they have access to services, to try to break that cycle, to stop the same cycle from repeating itself over and over.
Because, Cebu City before has a women and children's center, but it was closed because, again, of politics. So that's why also this is one of our problem. Okay? We'll have a few minutes break for advertisement. Let's go back to our discussion about the Edison Foundation. Look, Laura, can you please explain more about these grants that your foundation will be granting to other NGOs?
Sure, thank you for asking. So, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to direct services for survivors and research and capacity building, we also do some grant making because we are an operating foundation, so we have the capacity to give grants. Now, I should say from the beginning that grant making is not our primary focus as an organization because many people are always very interested in the grants. But we do give small grants to other grassroots organizations, community-based organizations that are serving survivors of human trafficking and gender-based violence specifically. Our grant funding is normally for pilot projects, so new innovative ideas that an organization is looking to launch. But we don't have many grantees at a time because we have a very close partnership, collaboration with people that we give grants to. So we can also provide technical support at times, and we prioritize projects that are also interested in research and monitoring and evaluation. So for example, if an organization has an idea about a new intervention, but they want to do some research to see if it's effective, then that's something that we would be especially interested in because as an organization, we are interested in evidence-based practice. So one of our recent grantees is the Healing and Resilience After Trauma Program, the organization that they were running the heart intervention for survivors of human trafficking in Uganda, and they needed some funding to help put together a curriculum for their program and also do some research with survivors to make sure survivors' voices were reflected in the curriculum, and then develop a manual that could be used by other organizations to implement the intervention. And so we help them, giving them funding, but also some technical support on the process of developing the intervention. And we have just collaborated very closely with them in terms of culturally adapting and piloting the program in Cebu as well. So if anyone is interested in our grant-making services, they could certainly reach out to us at the email address on our website, and we could speak further.
So, Lueng can secure a grant from your foundation?
I am happy to talk about it.
So we'll be meeting about this now, because you're also
Sure.
dealing with one. But Lueng is involved also in giving this livelihood.
Yes.
Because sometimes these victims would suffer from their
Yeah.
husbands, live-in
Yeah.
partners, because they have no income.
Yeah.
So sometimes they suffer 20, 18, 10 years.
Yeah.
My goodness. So that is one. But the problem is also because sometimes they abuse also this livelihood program.
Yeah.
Got lost, no return of the money.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
our government is not anywhere continuing this livelihood program.
Yeah.
But yours is more on this one also, livelihood?
Well, we don't do livelihoods, but we do the financial literacy and savings. And this,
That's
the
what I
reason
want,
that you
savings.
mentioned
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why we do the financial literacy and savings programs, because we have seen other survivors participating in livelihood programs or employment programs, but then they may not have enough support in like having a safe place to
Yes.
save that money, or having someone they can consult with on like, how do I manage it in the most effective way?
No training also.
Right. Or maybe they have family members who are really pressuring them to give the money to them or stealing money from them, and there needs to be like a safe place where they can keep it and make sure they can use it for their own goals. And so we feel that our financial literacy and savings programs are a really good complement
Yeah.
and like partner to livelihood programs, because if we bring those two together, we feel like it can actually be really, really helpful combination.
Now, if we will have it, how will you control about their savings? Is it in a bank book or passbook?
Yes, so they can have a savings passbook. They could save their money in a co-op, or we also offer a deposit collection service at a liaison as well. So they could save with us if they feel intimidated to save in a bank, or if they feel it's overly expensive to save at a bank. The most important thing is there just has to be some kind of record,
Yes.
like a financial record of how much money is in
You have
savings. But wherever that is, it's actually quite flexible, and it depends on what's best for that person.
Yeah. So it's okay if they will deposit it in the bank, and then we'll show to your organization that this is our savings, so you have also this counterpart,
Exactly.
the same amount.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
better than livelihood.
Yeah.
It will train them how to save.
Yes, yes. And the incentive, the counterpart, is kind of like a motivation
Yes,
to
yes.
help people get started in the process
More
of
savings because more counterparts.
Yes. But then what tends to happen is that then it becomes a habit, right? It
Yes,
becomes
yes.
something that becomes a regular practice. So this model was developed by a school of social work in the US, and it's been implemented with a lot of different kinds of populations, vulnerable populations, and been proven to be effective. And we find that the match is really helpful, because if someone has like an immediate goal, it's just some extra support
Yes,
to help them
yes.
achieve it, but they're also contributing their own portion as well.
Yes, yes. How many of these victims or these survivors that have already given assistance here in Cebu?
Well, in our current database of clients,
Yeah.
we have around 240 or so
This is for the different cities
from
and
the
municipalities.
different
200
municipalities.
plus?
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Victims of more what crime?
Primarily human trafficking and intimate partner violence.
Oh, so you have also been dealing with that?
Yes, yes, intimate partner violence and other forms of sexual violence. And we involve some family members in our programs as well. So, some, like for our Barug program, which is our savings program, survivors can join by themselves, or they can also bring a family member as well to participate. But actually, in our experience, most of our clients have experienced multiple forms of violence.
Yes.
So if they're someone who's experienced human trafficking, they may also have experienced child abuse,
Yes.
sexual violence in the community, intimate partner violence. So that's an issue that we're really interested in, because I think a lot of times we can talk about communities as if they've experienced one thing, but in reality they're
There's
experiencing
several.
multiple
Yes.
kinds of violence at the same time.
That's also our problem with our women victims. Not only about financial or economic, but also physical and
Yeah.
more on psychological,
Yeah.
especially about marital infidelity. And it affects their children.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's a problem because, we have also a limited funding. We are being funded by the ministry or the German bishops of Germany. So that's why we have to make some programs, some shows in order to raise funds.
Yeah.
Because we are also being asked to have a counterpart. It's not so easy.
Not
to be
so
dealing.
easy. You have much work to do, and
Yes, yes.
many people who I'm sure are wanting to avail of your services.
Yes. Because especially legal assistance. Because if you go to a lawyer, how much will they ask?
Right.
Acceptance fee, hearing, payment for every hearing, and it's actually low in giving them the legal assistance, and that is what we
Yes.
need.
Yes.
So at least yours is more also on development of the
Right.
survivors.
Yes.
Because that's also important.
Yes.
Because as
Yes.
I've said, there are many who are having in their mind committing suicide. Is it not?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we actually focus a lot on suicide prevention because we feel like it's a topic that isn't talked about as much as it could be.
It is set aside, no?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but that's very important.
it's very important. We feel like there's still a lot of stigma associated with the topic, and many people can be afraid to say if they're having
Yes,
suicidal thoughts because they think someone's going to judge them or think that they're crazy or
Yes,
say
yes.
bad things about them. But we really want to make sure people have a safe place where they can talk openly if they're having suicidal thoughts. And so we do the suicide prevention work directly with survivors. But for our capacity building, the training that we provide to other organizations, we also help train other organizations in how to do suicide prevention with clients as well, because we feel like it's important for all of us in the community to be able to support people who are feeling suicidal.
That's very important.
Yeah.
To encourage them to live, to stand on their rights.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes we feel affected, is it not? Feel emotional.
Right.
But we told our staff never to cry once you entertain this, especially the barangay officials, because they're the frontliners.
Yeah.
So you are not involved in conducting seminars among the different barangay officials, no?
Not at this time, no. So we do capacity building and trainings for other organizations.
For organizations, not for barangay officials.
Not barangay officials right now. So most of our trainings are for either maybe for DSWD or for other nonprofit organizations that are serving survivors. But not as much yet on barangay officials.
So we can also avail of that service?
Yes.
Yes. Because,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our capacity building and training, we do training on suicide prevention, and then we also provide training on something that's called motivational interviewing. It's an evidence-based communication style or counseling approach for talking to people who are feeling unsure about change. And it's an evidence-based and trauma-informed way of communicating with other people that we find really helpful when working with survivors. And so we also do training on that counseling approach. And all of our capacity building services are free. So I should say that all of our services are free, whether services for survivors or our capacity building and training for other organizations, it's all free.
So what we need is only an invitation.
Well, all you have to do is contact us.
You might be contacting you for that, no? Because that's important also. By the way, if I am a victim, will I just go directly to your office?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So we do not have staff at our office all the time. Staff are there sometimes, but sometimes the office is closed. So probably the best way, we do have a Facebook page. It's an Eleison Foundation, so ELEISON Foundation. The good thing about our Facebook page is if someone is a victim, they can message us at any time, and we can respond anytime. Whereas if someone goes to our office, maybe someone would be there or maybe not. So it would probably be better to contact us on our Facebook page. And we also have an email address that people can use
Can
to
you tell
reach
them
us.
about your email address and your go back to the Facebook
Yes.
so that they will know how to
Yes.
contact your office?
Yes, our Facebook page is the Eleison Foundation page. So it's ELEISONFOUNDATION.
That's it, one?
Yes,
on the TV?
Eleison Foundation.
And then?
That's the name of the Facebook page. And then for our email, you can contact us at info at eleisonfoundation.org. So spelled the same. ELEISON foundation.org.
So they don't have to go to the office immediately. They have to contact you first so
Right.
that your staff will be available.
Exactly. So if they send us a message first, then one of our staff will respond and we can set up either a phone call or a session at our office.
So there will be scheduling.
Yes, there will be scheduling for a session.
So for how many staff do you have? Only few?
Only few. We're very small. So right now there's 7 of us, but we're actively hiring for a social worker. So if any registered social workers are interested in working with us,
These are your staff?
this is our team. Yes,
your team.
this is our team. We're a very small but mighty team, but we are actually hiring new people right now. So if there are any registered social workers who are interested in working with us, they can also send us a message on our Facebook page or at the same email address, or anyone who is a psychologist as well.
Okay. We'll have a few minutes break for the advertisement. Let's go back to our program, In the Eyes of Women. Why are this program important? And how can clients immediately avail of your services?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. So, like we talked about earlier, we feel it's important to have very accessible and free services available in the community.
Yeah.
Because survivors often need a lot of support, emotional support, a safe and trusted person that they can talk to and be with them throughout their recovery. And sometimes those services are in a shelter or in a hospital or in a place that may not be very accessible.
Yes.
And so we want to provide a place that is really accessible and free, and that anyone, even if they left a shelter 10 years ago, they can still come to us and come to avail of our programs. And we also are interested in breaking the cycle of violence, right? So someone may experience violence, they may receive some services and support, they may go back into the community, and then they may experience violence again. And so we want to make sure that they have the support in the community to kind of break that cycle and to prevent that cycle from continuing over and over and over, that they have a place where they can receive support with their mental health, they can stabilize economically, and they can also have a place where they can continue to go when they have urgent crises or concerns. In terms of availing of our services are available to adults. So anyone who is age 18 or above, there is no upper age limit.
Yes.
So 18 plus.
So even senior citizens
Even
can
senior
avail.
citizens can avail. Absolutely,
Yeah.
senior citizens can avail.
But about minors, you cannot?
Not at this time. No. So we have historically focused on adults only. We know that there are a lot of services for minors right now, and we're thinking about potentially lowering the age of eligibility to serve minors as well. But right now we're focusing on adults.
Adults? So you're not involved in trafficking of children?
Some of our clients were trafficked as children, but since we are working with them at the age of 18 plus. So maybe they were trafficked when they were young, but they were in a shelter for a while, and then they're in the community, and then that's when they come to us for the long-term support afterward. And people of any gender identity can participate in our programs. So, of course, we have a lot of women in our programs, but men can also avail. Yes, men can also participate in our programs.
That's one difference we have. Because we don't accept men.
So we have male survivors in our programs. Maybe
they are also victims of abuses by their wives.
Well, maybe they experienced human trafficking, right? They may have experienced labor trafficking or even sex trafficking, and they can also join our programs as well. So actually around 20% of our clients are male. And we also, our services are available to people who are non-binary, so people who, are transgender, people of any gender identity can participate in our programs. And we want to be a safe place for people of any gender identity to come and feel like they won't be judged, they're accepted, and they can join our programs, whether they're male or female or non-binary.
So you can encourage our viewers about the male, because as far as law is concerned, you're only more on women.
Yeah.
Can you encourage them to go to your office if they're also victims of different abuses?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, I mean anyone who has experienced human trafficking or gender-based violence, if you're in need of additional support, whether that be mental health support or economic support, or you're in a state of crisis, you can reach out to the Liaison Foundation team on our Facebook page, Liaison Foundation, and we're available to provide support to anyone who is a survivor, including men. We would actually love for more men to be able to receive services as well and receive mental health support as well, and we would welcome men to join our programs.
That's a good news. Hi, males. Because when they go to the office, they say, sorry, sir, sorry. We don't entertain men. But we only give assistance to women. That's why many husbands said, why is it that this law is only for women? What about us, victims of abuse? So at least your organization or your foundation will accept them.
Yes.
So that's a learning. Hey, male, you heard Dr. Laura. You can avail of their services if you are also subject of abuse by your wives or any kind of abuses. At least that's good. Because they're complaining about the law. And we said, it's the law. Are you really a victim of abuse by your wife? Yes, ma'am. So at least your foundation will accept them.
Most of our clients who are men have experienced human trafficking, whether that be trafficking for some form of labor or also sex trafficking as well, or they may have experienced other forms of sexual violence in the community. So we don't really have as many men who've been abused by their wives, but maybe they experienced violence in the community, maybe they were assaulted, maybe they were trafficked. And I think that that's one of the myths, that people think that only women and girls are trafficked, and it's really not true.
That's true,
And I've been working in the anti-trafficking sector for a long time now, and there are many shelter programs for women and girls, which is really important. But a lot of times there are also male victims and they don't have anywhere to go. There may not be a shelter for them. There may not be a program for them. And so we want to make sure that they're also have somewhere where they can get help as well. And when we do our research, we make sure to include male survivors in the research as well. We want to make sure their perspectives are also heard and represented, because we believe that survivors of any gender identity deserve to receive support.
I'm sure the male now are very happy knowing that you have this program, that where they can ask for help, because that's the usual problem we have. They keep on complaining about the laws. Why is it anti-violence against women and children only? My goodness, we have no more time. At least we are so thankful, Doc Laura, for sharing the programs and the activities and whatever about Ellison Foundation. I know that there are many viewers who have heard your sharing are happy to know that there is another foundation giving them the proper assistance. Because we are only limited also as Law Inc., we are limited as far as assistance is concerned. But before we will end, we have a simple token
Thank
for
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much again. And then can you have your parting words to our viewers?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for spending this time together with us. I'm really grateful to share with you about our foundation. And if you are someone who is experiencing violence or abuse, I just want to say that you're important, your experiences matter, you're valuable, and you're someone who deserves to be listened to and supported. And if there's any way that we can support you, you're welcome to reach out to us because we feel that you're important and your voice matters. So thank you so much for spending time together.
Thank you, Doc, again. Hopefully we
you.
can meet again
Yes.
for another episode of this program.
Yes.
More sharing.
Yes, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Ellison and Law Inc. will be joining together in this program. At last, we end our episode, and we are so thankful to Doc Laura for sharing the good foundation known as Ellison Foundation. You know, even male can avail of their services. And like Law Inc., because we only give services to women, victims of abuses. But they have so many programs that she shared, and hopefully you have learned a lot about it. Please do not hesitate to approach their office, but do not go because you have to call them, either contact them through their Facebook or to their email because they have only limited staff. Please continue following our program because we will be sharing more about it. So we are so thankful to Tatay Durong and Nanay Dayan Lim Chua for giving us this program because now we have shared another foundation which have several programs and very, very rare programs that victims of abuses or different kinds of crimes are being given assistance. We will not be able to see how beautiful we are today because this is a live program.
Wow.
But we have the replay on Sunday at Channel 47 CCTN at 8 o'clock in the evening. So if you can take a look at the YouTube or at the Law Inc. Facebook. Take note, please continue watching this program. We are so thankful to Tatay Dudong and Nanay Dayan Lim Chua, as I have said, because of this program. We are also thankful to Archbishop Jose Palma for assisting Law Inc. to be able to obtain this funding from the German bishops. We are thankful to our other funders like World Bank, PBSP, and even Arc Global, Do It End Already, and many other donors who don't want to be recognized or be known. We are also thankful to Law Inc. for having this program, especially our head of the media advocacy, Charity Iscoton. But most of all, we are so thankful for the staff of CCTN for assisting us every Tuesday afternoon to have this program a success. Continue following our program so you will be more learning about whatever laws or other matters that you want to know. I am Attorney Virginia Palanca Santiago would say, God bless us all.